Dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have enjoyed the very nice lunch we've had in this nice setting. We are moving to our plenary session devoted to smart specialization of European regions. And I would like to start by introducing our speakers. I'll introduce them, but they will not speak necessarily in that order, but this is just to confuse the enemy. So, the first honorable speaker that we listened to this morning too, one of the members of the panel this afternoon, he will speak last time at his request. In last place, his request is Mr. Lambert van Nistelrooij, who, as you know, is a member of the European Parliament in the European People's Party from the Netherlands. And if I may say so, he's one of the main actors in the European Parliament in the field of regional policy and research through his membership both in the Regio and ITRE committee. The second member of our panel is Gnamus, who is Scientific Officer in the Joint Research Center of the European Commission in the institute based in Sevilla, IPTS, which is the Institute for Prospective Technological Studies. I'm sure you all know it. He has a background in policy analysis, benchmarking of policies, and assessment. We also have with us Christina Diegelmann from Germany, who is representing here today the Assembly of European Regions, where she is responsible for analyzing issues of political relevance, so very important with us this afternoon. We also have with us Philippe Vanrie, who is the Chief Executive Officer for the European Business Innovation Center, BICs network in Belgium. We also have with us Sarka Hermanova, who is project manager at the Czech technology platform, where she addresses, among others, the issue of industrial safety. And we have also with us Colombe Warin. I always hesitate how to pronounce her name because I've realized that she pronounces differently according to the place where she is. She will be the rapporteur of this session, and she works in the Commission. She works with me and with the rest of the colleagues who work in regional affairs, and she's been closely involved in this conference. So, as I already mentioned in the opening session, smart specialization is a key policy innovation that will underpin EU support for research and innovation in the next programming period and help promote synergies. It will allow member states and regions, so both of them, to identify future priorities for research and innovation funding under the cohesion policy, and thus help them to climb what we referred to already this morning, the stairway to excellence. The European Commission has been closely involved in the concept of smart specialization since its origin, because it started with the work done by Professor Dominique Torre from the École Polytechnique de Lausanne, and other colleagues, other experts, I would say, who were members of the Knowledge for Growth expert group that reported to us already in 2008. Since then, through the smart specialization platform at the IPTS in Sevilla, and the work of colleagues in DG Regio and in our Director General too, the Commission has sought and hopefully is managing to give practical assistance to Member States and regions in developing the regional strategies. As you know, and if you don't, I encourage strongly you to look for it, the platform has produced a very useful guide to the development precisely of smart specialization strategies. And this platform is also undertaking a wide range of events with different member states and regions, where peer reviews of draft strategies are being made, regions get ideas from each other, and we like to call them critical friends are present in the discussions. I'm sure many of you have participated in those events. Poland is very active, is actively involved in this platform. Some regions have been already registered, and encourage these and regions of the rest of Europe to register in that platform as soon as possible. One of the events I was referring to, organized by this platform, has taken place already in March in Warsaw. So this is a tool that I strongly encourage you all to use. So turning to the issues ahead of us in this session, they are the following. There are the following 3 questions that I would like speakers to address. First is, can the European policies be tailored to meet the regional innovative specificities? The second question is, how do regions see the challenge of smart specialization? And the third question is, how can smart specialization work in practice? I invite now our speakers, I will tell you the order, to share their views with no more than 10 minutes per speaker, so that we allow for time of discussion. So I would invite our first speaker, who would be Gnamus from IPTS. Alex, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for a presentation, a very thorough one. I could almost skip my own presentation because you already said quite some about it. So, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. From my side, my presentation will be perhaps a little bit more technical as the ones until now. I will tell you a little bit about concrete steps how to design the regional national research and innovation smart specialization strategies, or shortly RIS3. So later when you see in the slides RIS3, it means actually regional or national research and innovation smart specialization strategies. Of course, firstly, where do RIS come from? Of course, they are building on the past. It was mentioned before here in the morning by numerous speakers that there was quite a lot of experiences made so far in the building so-called RIS strategies. So there were actually national or regional innovation strategies, which were prepared mainly in the framework of the EU cohesion policy. So they achieved quite greater cooperation than before, especially among private and public stakeholders, the so-called public-private partnerships, and better communication between technology providers and clients. However, there was a mind shift required with the past, and because there were also some negative aspects of the first 3 strategies. Before all, there was a lack of international and trans-regional perspective in those strategies. They were the strategies were considered like from the region itself, inside, and they didn't mind too much about cooperation with other regions in the area or with other member states and even more international. These strategies were frequently not in tune with the industrial and economic fabrics of regions, and they were too narrow. They presented too narrow a vision of innovation. There was more or less just strict innovation. There was no talk about social innovation or other innovative approaches. Very often it was picking the winner syndrome, and very often it was copying the best performing regions, which of course cannot work always in all the cases. What is very important is that the smart specialization, as it was briefly mentioned in the morning, is one of the ex-ante conditionalities for the ERDF investment priorities in the next financial perspective, 2014-2020. So existence of national or regional research and innovation strategies for smart specialization is actually in line, which should be in line with the national reform programs, are actually ex-ante conditionality. So based on that, there will be money distributed, there will be concrete steps later with operational programs and so on that will actually enact the strategies and the steps that are foreseen in the strategy. Of course, this should be based on a SWOT analysis, concentrating resources on a limited set of research and innovation priorities, because there is simply not enough money to go to follow the same principles as were done in the previous financial perspective. There should be measures to stimulate private R&D investment, because these SMEs especially are the ones that generate the most income for the EU. However, they still lag behind the companies in US and in Far East. And it should have a very thorough monitoring and review system. Of course, it should have also an explicit chapter on digital growth, which is European digital agenda. There is, of course, it was mentioned before by Ms. de la Torre, we have produced, along with a couple of scientists, academics, and Commission officials from various DGs, RIS3 guide, which is available on the website here. I guess you will all get these slides, so you can have the website where the link to the website where you can find it. The RIS guide actually is developed around 6 steps, which we think that they are crucial. These were also developed based on the experiences with dealing with the first RIS prototypes. And I will go briefly through all these 6 steps, so let's just move on to the first step. The first step, it's very important, of course, it's analysis of regional or national potential for innovation. You will see very often there's only written regional, but of course it became clear lately that in many cases, many member states, they will actually develop national research and innovation smart specialization strategy, not only the regional ones. And there will be combination. There will be some member states which will have national plus regional ones. There will be some that primarily they will develop regional ones. So we try to actually accommodate all the different options that are mentioned. Of course, for the analysis of the regional context, a very important thing is to have a very wide view of innovation, not only RTD oriented. So I mentioned before briefly social innovation. We will probably discuss later some other types of innovation. So it is, of course, important that it's assess the existing regional assets overall and national assets. It should identify regional competitive advantages, and should be based on value chains and an entrepreneurial discovery process. They should detect emerging trends and niches with potential for smart specialization. So it's very important not to just focus on something that is already there now at the moment. You need to have kind of a vision for the future, what could be important in a few years. So not just focusing on the very strong players at the moment. And of course, methods should be combined for the analysis of regional potential for innovation. There should be regional profiling, SWOT approach, surveys, and so on. Outward-looking analysis. It's important that the SES should include regional and national positioning within the EU. One should be aware of the positioning of companies also within the international value chains and markets. So the strategy should be based on the strengths of the markets in the region, of the SMEs and companies and entrepreneurs in the region or in the nation, in the state. The flows and absorption of external knowledge and skills should be taken into consideration. And what should be avoided by all means is blind duplications, which was quite often the case in the past. Should be a combination of methods of studies, interviews, and interregional working groups that should help in this. The analysis of entrepreneurial dynamics and identification of future opportunities is one of the very critical steps critical points of the first step. Of course, as I mentioned before, the strategy should be built in the liveliness of entrepreneurial environment in the region or in the member states. Firms are the key actors here, but of course, important role should be played also by universities, technology centers, venture capitalists, and regional development agencies in the region. Entrepreneurs, well, it is required for the successful functioning of the strategy that the entrepreneurs also give something, that they disclose their economic differentiation potential, that they disclose what do they think in the future should be very important in their field and so on, and then this is taken into consideration once the strategy is being designed. Of course, here also there should be a combination of methods with consultation with firms, clusters, technological audits, and foresight studies should be taken on board. Oops. Okay. The step 2 is also very important. It's, we call it now multi-level governance. Multi-level because in many cases, as I mentioned before, there will be a national strategy, and in many cases there will be national in coordination with the regional strategies prepared for the member state. So it's very important that this multi-level governance is really taking place and should be all participatory, and everybody should feel the ownership of it in order to function properly. Here we stress that it's important to actually even speak in the quadruple helix, where beside the public-private partnerships, so beside the private sector and public sector and universities, there's also a demand side that participates. There should be collaborative leadership, so everybody should be involved in the leadership in order to function well. Very important is the boundary spanning people, organizations which cross, which know well the different sectors and different activities and can connect in between these four key players in the quadruple helix. Usually it's useful to have a dedicated steering group or a knowledge leadership group that actually helps in managing the work, the governance. Step 3 is the vision. Its elaboration of an overall vision for the future is also, of course, very crucial. It should be shared by everybody in the region or country and should give main direction for its international positioning. So it should formulate different scenarios for regional or national development. It should involve debates, and based on many debates and many events, the most important path or vision should be chosen. It should produce especially positive tension towards strategic goals, and it should guarantee long-term engagement of stakeholders and mobilizing the powers in the region. So it's very important that once the vision and the strategy is being produced, that all the players are aware that this is a process. So it's very important that this is considered, the strategy is considered as a process, not as a one standalone action and then it's forgotten. The identification of priorities. Decision-making steps are important to take into consideration the two principles. The top-down should meet the bottom-up. So there should be, of course, a limited number of areas should be selected with the potential for smart specialization that should be based on the emerging entrepreneurial discovery process. So I mentioned it briefly before, the things that might be very important in the future. It's not clear now, but they are to be part of it on the equal footing with those that are perhaps very strong at the moment. And of course, areas where the region realistically hope to excel should be considered among those priorities. As I mentioned before, also the horizontal priorities of digital growth and key enabling technologies, which were also mentioned before in digital agenda for a connected region, that also need to represent part of these priorities. And what is very important and a very critical step in the process is also that the designers of this strategy should avoid being captured by the interest groups, which sometimes are quite powerful. The next step, which is also crucial in the designing, is the definition of coherent policy mixes, roadmaps, and action plans. Already from the start, you should organize detailing rules and tools for the strategy itself. The roadmap should be composed of action plan and also of pilot projects. And there's also very much required that some experimental parts should be part of it. So even though something might not work in the future, it's very much required that these kind of innovative approaches are bringing in order to a strategy to work. This is the last step, which is integration of monitoring and evaluation mechanisms. So of course it's very critical once you have the strategy that you take care of monitoring and of evaluation. And it's important that the outcomes are fed back into the strategy and its next version. So I mentioned there's a process rather than one standalone activity. Here, just for you, you can see also practical comparison. On the left, you have actually the 6 steps that I just mentioned, and on the right, you actually have evaluation of one particular region. I will not tell you which it is, but we are actually also trying to help the DG Regio and DG Research in evaluation of the risk strategies, and this is evaluation for one particular risk tree strategy. So I'm coming to an end. Very important, as I mentioned, also there's good communication. It's really crucial in the process. It should have endorsement of all the stakeholders. It should embark the new stakeholders which were not previously involved in the risk strategies, and it should also based on informing well the public opinion, because the public is very important in this case. And communication is needed all along the process. The review and update of RIS is also very critical. The peer reviews were mentioned. We are actually helping the regions to organizing peer reviews. And it's very critical to regularly adapt and update the strategy. For example, when the crisis comes, the changes, the situation change, and it's very important that the new changes, the new processes are integrated in the strategy. So that's it from our side. That's it from my side. I think it's very important that you realize that there are quite a few websites that we organize, that we are managing, that give you a lot of information. There is a website, very useful one, on Smart Specialization platform, and there's also a lot of information on Innovation Union, Information and Intelligence System. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Alex. So a lot of good knowledge and advice that you have to offer to our colleagues. So please use it. Our next speaker is Christina Diegelmann, and the floor is yours, Christina.
Thank you very much for the introduction. I've centered my presentation around the three questions given by the organizers. However, before starting with the answers, I would briefly like to tell you where they come from and to quickly introduce the Assembly of European Regions to you. We are the largest network of regions in Europe. Our members come not only from the European Union member states, but from all the countries of the Council of Europe. And we regroup regions in the sense of governance. That means the second level below the national level. And basically our mission consists of two big pillars, which is to voice regional interests in European policy, but also to help our members to cooperate, to exchange their experience, and so to improve their regional policies. First question I would like to start with is, can European policies be tailored to meet the regional innovative specifications? The answers I got on this question from all our members was yes, it can. However, we need to look how that should be put in place concretely. Why can it help? We have many challenges that are faced by quite a few regions in Europe, so as the aging of population, unemployment, especially among young citizens, the lack of capital for seed financing for the early stage of the innovation chain. However, the situation looks different in each region. Also, we have the same challenges to face. So therefore, it's really important to have a flexible approach, because a standardized innovation policy will only be able to deliver average solutions. So if we really look at excellence, and if we want to move up the stairway of excellence, it's important that we base our approach on the place, and that we use the tools in a way that they are able to solve regional problems and to deliver the solutions that can create excellence on a regional level. So therefore, EU level would do good if the instruments, the tools provided are flexible enough to adapt them to the regional needs. And in that to that end, it's important to mention that proximity plays an important role. If we look at the key actors in the innovation ecosystem on a regional level, it's important that we look at the specificity in a region and that we do not generalize about all regions, even so we talk about the same type of actors which we would find in nearly all regions, but it's always a certain specific partnership that puts in place. And to this end, it's also important that we look at the excellence programs and that we have a regional dimension in it that allows the regions to truly participate, and this is especially important for the newcomers, so those who are not yet equally involved. And we have seen the map this morning where some regions were really in light colors. That means there is a challenge to involve them in the innovation programs. So how do regions see the challenge of smart specialization? Well, they see it as an opportunity to improve their competitiveness, their company's competitiveness, and above all, to create jobs in the region. What's important in that context is the challenge to gather all the relevant stakeholders, all the actors that would have to play a role in putting the smart specialization strategy in place, to bring them together, to agree on common goals and on common strategy and activity. That means it's important that there is a consensus, but also it means that there is a regional leadership for the strategy. So that's not something coming from a higher level and being imposed on a region, but it's really the regional government, the regional decision makers that agree on this strategy and put it in place. To this end, cooperation is important across various borders. That means in the hierarchy of governance, of course, with the different actors in a region, cities, municipalities, the national, the European level, but also in a horizontal way, the neighboring regions and also across Europe. And therefore, we cannot put in place smart specialization strategies without looking at the links to cohesion policy, and I've put 3 points that seem to be most important. First, transparency, clarity is crucial. We have heard that smart specialization is foreseen to be an ex-ante conditionality. However, so far it's not really clear how concretely this will be put in place. We have seen details in a fact sheet. However, as on the level of the regulations so far, the question remains open if that will be a delegated act or how it will concretely be put in place. What is also important, and I've mentioned that before, the partnership, the cooperation is crucial. So the regulation recommends to put in place a partnership. However, it's really not firmly stated that all the regional actors should be included in a partnership contract in a country, and that seems to be important to not only look at the stakeholders' national level, national associations, for example, but to also involve some of the actors that are concretely working on the ground. And then when it comes to the thematic concentration, we agree that a more concentrated approach is important. However, there should again be a certain flexibility that would allow to design the strategy according to the needs on the ground, in order to avoid that later on the actors have to somehow find ways to bypass the concentration or to implement projects that would not really fit the needs. And finally, I've selected 4 examples of smart specialization strategies in practice, where I would like to highlight in each strategy a point that seems to be important to me. The first one is the region of Uppsala, who reported that they have decided to bring together the actors in the area of life science. And why did they choose life sciences? Because they feel that only in that sector they have all the relevant actors in their territory. That means the universities, university hospitals, the necessary enterprises, the businesses, also in form of association, while in other sectors they might only have companies or they have world-class knowledge, but they don't have all the triple helix actors present. So that's a decision to focus on an area where the players are present. Another example comes from France, from the Île-de-France region, which is looking at a wider concept, meaning economic development in a sense that it also looks at environmental and social transformation. That's a big strategy that involves different also thematic areas, and this shows that in some regions where you have really actors in all the different fields present, it might be difficult to exclude one or the other thematic field. And then a strategy that really shows well how a region can evolve is from Tampere, which focused for quite a while on cluster policy, but is now coming to an approach where they work with so-called innovation platforms that bring together different areas and look at cross-cutting solutions and support to this end. And then finally, a strategy that comes from Spain, and I've picked this from the province of Avila because it looks at an economic area which might not immediately be considered as top-class innovation, but which creates a lot of jobs, and it's the field of tourism. And here the region has set up a strategic body, a steering board that looks at the tourism strategy involving the different actors in the region, and also including a technological approach in certain areas where it makes sense. For example, if it comes to internet presentation booking, but also GPS for the different tourism applications. So I highlighted this to present that not only top-class science, but also a very practical area of business could be part of a smart specialization strategy. So that was all in a nutshell, and I hope not too long.
Thank you very much, Christina. It was perfectly on time. So many regions, each different. We have to keep flexibility. This is what I kept it, but it's an opportunity. That's the most important thing. Thank you. Now we move on to Philippe Vanrie. The floor is yours for 10 minutes. Thank you.
I need a smart technician. Is there a smart technician in the room? There is no smart technicians in the room. No.
That's technology.
Ah, that's it. Okay. Thank you. Good afternoon, and thank you for the smart assistance, Mrs. de la Torre. The first time I joined the Mirror Group, I was thinking, wow, the European Commission is talking about being smart, being specialized, and having a strategy. I said to myself, that's a good spot. That's a good spot, because it makes sense, frankly speaking. It makes sense, hopefully, if it doesn't come a doctrine without flexibility. I suppose it also meets some of the comments made so far. The point I wanted to make to you today is also to look at this from the entrepreneur's perspective, from a real downstream perspective, and saying that maybe if you think about setting up eventually smart and eventually specialized strategies, and if you don't think on how this strategy will be distributed, on how the logistics of all this will be put in place, you might fail. The best examples in industry shows that you can be the smarter people, being excellent in your technologies, having a long-term vision, but if the guys on the spot, on the field, are not able to distribute it and to explain to the end users, you will fail. And I think in public policies, that's exactly the same. So the point we make here is to address a recommendation to policymakers. While you try to engage regions and cities into smarter policies, think about the delivery mechanisms, because I think the delivery mechanisms of innovation support are not good enough. Do we agree on this? Okay. Okay, these are the things I would like to go through very quickly. It's not really a contribution to the theory of S3, but just a few thoughts that I would like you to share with me. That's who we are. EBN is a non-governmental network putting together 200 innovation-based incubators, accelerators, entrepreneurship centers. By the way, we have a famous, very good center here in Krakow, the Krakow Technology Park. I suppose they are in the room. They are very important because they are the last segment of the value chain that distribute innovation support services to entrepreneurs. And I haven't missed your point, you, the representative of the GRC, that the concept of entrepreneurial discovery is a cornerstone of this process. Let's come back to networking, because you will see where I want to go in this discussion, but I think networking is really a serious game. There are very serious networks here in this room, in the poster session. Everything in innovation is designed around networks, institutionalized networks, spontaneous networks, etc. But this is very, very serious and a cornerstone of how you can become smarter or not. It's not only in computer science, not only in particle physics, it's also in sociology and how the territories are organized. And we now talk about ecosystems of territories that are looking at their interrelationship. And I think this is absolutely key, and I know that the theoreticians of the S3 theories are looking at this very carefully. Also, this networking capability is becoming a core competence of everybody on the ecosystem. You, policymakers, you, civil servants, and without making a joke, with your respect, I'm not sure networking and open collaboration has always been at the top in the last 10 years, but this is something on which we have to work, because if you look at entrepreneurs, innovators, the one who make breakthrough are the one who are the best networkers on the planet, not the best cognitive experts, the best networkers, for sure. Not only in very small businesses, but everywhere. Also, networks in this field of smart and specialized platforms, they need to be pragmatic. It's a good idea to put more theoretical strategic thinking on the table. But again, if there is no touchable, tangible services on the platform, it's not understood by the end user. So really that's very important to be very pragmatic. And again, of course, working together is very smart. It's not smart. Are there French people in the room? Yes. well, the football team from France is not very smart at the moment. They have unique individualities, but the team building is not really smart. It's just the addition of specialization, while a brilliant, vibrant ecosystem is not only an addition of a smart specialization side by side. Also, we should question why are we needing networks and clusters. I'm sorry I jumped into cluster world. Maybe one of the following speakers will talk about that. But I think we have to always remember, why are we here in this conference? Why have you traveled here? Of course, to meet your friends, to make your lobby, to express your opinion, but mainly because you're looking for models, you're looking to share values, you are looking for opportunities maybe. You're looking for projects, opportunities. This is okay. You can disclose that reason of joining networks and clusters. This is to make business and create value. That's okay. Hopefully, your networking and clustering approach will not be too doctrinaire, too rigid, with lack of flexibilities, and I think this is very important, and I suppose this is honey for Lambert, Van Nistelrooij later, not only for research players, not only for big brothers. You need to put entrepreneurs into the ecosystems, and more than you ever thought. Yes, coming back again to the territories, I think that's fine. I am a fan of regional policies, but as it was said by a few speakers before, everything starts sometime at sub-regional levels, at local level, in a place or another place. That's where the seeds are starting to grow, are starting to show their potential. And of course, that's the level where seeds and little plants are showing their limits in their growth strategy. But it starts like this, and the embedment of smart, specialized strategies at the local level is very important. And when you look at what kind of economic and social miracles are done at the very local level, that's very important. The local level means also everywhere. This is a kind of social inclusion approach. Things are not only happening in Helsinki, Cambridge, and Paris. Things are happening everywhere, including in excellence domain of technologies and science. Okay, innovation again, and maybe you will recognize a few statements, though those keywords are stolen from a strapline from mottos of big companies. You will recognize themselves, and one of the one I prefer is a message to Lambert van Nistelrooij, is the sense and simplicity one. But really, this is very important, never to forget that innovation is about connecting people, ideas and market. Again, coming back to the downstream segment, I think in smart specialization strategies, it is always very important to think of the downstream segment, to think about the application, to think about the usabilities, to think about the last element of the value chain who will put a human capital in the protocol, in the ecosystem. And when you analyze what specialists are saying about the skills required to innovate, these are not talking about pure cognitive skills. Of course, you don't have, well, you shouldn't be an idiot, but the most important are the skills that enable you as an entrepreneur, as a researcher, as an innovator, as a policymaker, as an intermediary, to associate yourself with others, to observe what is done by others, to question the others and yourself, including your certainties, to experiment things, to avoid rigid doctrines on what you do, and finally, to be able to network out of your box, basically. That's where innovation systems give the best of their potential. And of course, it means you need entrepreneurs into the game. You need entrepreneurs into the game because, as it was said also this morning, that's where the new ideas comes. That's a model of moving forward, which are very important in the dynamics of ecosystems. Not because entrepreneurs are a profession to protect Not because scientists are a profession to criticize, no, because it gives a tempo, it gives a dynamics that is vital for research and innovation communities. Last but not least, and I finish with this, again, as I said at the beginning, it's important that you pay attention to the distribution of innovation and business support. And this is very serious. This is very serious. Go and visit the Krakow Technology Park tomorrow. You will understand it is very serious. It is as serious as policies and as serious as scientific excellence. But if this part of the value chain doesn't work, something will be missing in the valorization of all this. And this is particularly important for intermediaries, and I think member states, the Commission, should insist on pushing intermediaries. Who are the intermediaries? All the operators who are helping, who are facilitating, who are enabling innovators and entrepreneurs to grow. They should themselves be much smarter and more specialized, because people still are victim of a search for universality of skills and for a theoretical approach of things. So that's very, very important so that ecosystems can be efficient in the delivery mechanisms of innovation support. And don't create a gas factory, a complex system with players who doesn't know where they are specialized at. You should be able, as a player, to say, I am specialized in maximum 3 areas, and on those areas, I am the smarter on the planet. I can be confronted to any challenges. I will be the one who can overcome that challenge. Invest in quality, that's very important. It's not a joke, it's very serious. If you have yourself an experience in industry, if you have been confronted to the quality manager, the quality insurance manager of Siemens, come on, it's very serious. Huh? So invest in quality, that's absolutely vital. Quality is not only scientific excellence, quality is quality. Quality is very market-driven. Invest in core competence, this is an example of what we do in our field, but keep investing in core competence. And don't tell me that you have 15 core competencies. It doesn't work, and it will not enable smart specialization strategies to work. Think supply chain. It's always supply chain driven things, because it also brings you closer to your end users, to your market. And last but not least, you need to have an impact. Invest in quantity. Invest in a very reliable way for you to measure the metrics of what you do with the modesty of thinking, I have had a credit for this impact assessment. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Philippe, for this enthusiastic presentation. Networking, clustering, the role of business, crucial there. Thank you very much. Now, Sarka Hermanova, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sarka Hermanova, and I work in the Czech technology platform on industrial safety as a project manager. My presentation will be very concrete and will address mostly to the third question given us by the organization. So it's smart specialization in practice and examples. Our organization is situated, our technology platform and cluster are situated in Ostrava in the Moravian Silesian region, which is very close to the Polish and Slovakian border, as you can see from the map, so you can have an idea where we come from. Let me introduce the Moravian Silesian region in a few words. The region is one of the most industrial regions in the Czech Republic. The capital city, Ostrava, is connected very strongly with industry. Mainly, there is a long tradition of mining, steelworks, ironworks, and so on. Consequently, it causes major environmental problems, especially air pollution. We have the highest air pollution in the Central Europe. However, the authorities try to change the traditional image of a black city and try to transform it into a multicultural, cosmopolitan space with a high level of education, services, and infrastructure. There are three universities in our region, especially there is Technical University of Ostrava, and we cooperate very closely with this university. It has approximately 20,000 students, and it's specialized in many faculties like mechanical engineering, building engineering, IT, or safety and security engineering. Now I would like to point out two current very unique projects linked with the region and with the Technical University, this one as well. So the first one is realized by the IT faculty of Technical University, and it's called IT for Innovations. The aim of this project is to build a supercomputer, the biggest in the Czech Republic, with specific IT service in the various fields, as you can see in the slide. The supercomputer has a statute of a center of excellence, is supported from EU funds, and is going to be finished by the end of the year 2015. The second regional project I would like to point out here is a revitalization of the Vítkovice plant. It represents one of the largest complex revitalization of an industrial area in the Czech Republic. Some of the parts of this large ironworks, which were built in 1828, are not working anymore and are now in the process of reconstruction into a multifunctional center for leisure, sport, education, or cultural activities. The National Cultural Monument, ancient gas hall, which was built in 1924 by Vítkovice Ironworks, was now converted into a multifunctional auditorium for congress, conferences, festivals, and other special events. A month ago, it was opened by Jarek Nohavica, a famous regional singer you might know because he's very well known in Poland. And it's prepared for a summer massive festival of world music, which is called Colors of Ostrava. And you are very welcome because it will take place in this special industrial area. So, now let's come to the main topic of my presentation. It's the role of platforms and clusters in the regional development. So first of all, it's horizontal linkages. Platforms and clusters link subjects from education, application, and research spheres. Second, it's complex dimension. They have complex dimension and they act on regional, national, European, or international level. Their core business is networking. They focus to join projects, initiate new activities, and make partnerships. And platforms and clusters search and support innovative potential of their members and partners. So they can increase their competitiveness, and also they are focused on technology or knowledge transfer. Clusters concentrate on a regional level and coordinate a net of cooperating organizations from different spheres: suppliers, production companies, education and research institutions. The aim is to develop innovation potential of some specific branch and increase its competitiveness. Clusters are financially supported on the regional level by Regional Development Agency, on the national level by Czech government or Czech National Cluster Association, and on European level by European Commission. In our region, we can find 10 clusters that represent the progressive spheres of regional development, such as automotive cluster, because we have very strong automotive industry in the region, energetic cluster, or safety and security cluster. So a few words about the Czech Safety and Security Technology Cluster. The cluster is 2 years old, has 26 members from industrial companies, universities, scientific research institutions, and other organizations from private and public sector. The specific feature of this cluster is that it is the only cluster in the Central Europe which is focused on the sphere of safety and security. The vision of this cluster is to be a cluster of excellence in the future. As an example of applied research project, current project, which is now in the process, is a testing laboratory for air pollution measurement. As I said, we have a very high level of air pollution in Ostrava. So there's testing facilities and mobile measuring laboratory. Technology platforms. European Commission characterized them as champions for growth. European technology platforms are an important weapon in the Commission's competitiveness arsenal and were set up to chart its strategic R&D path ahead for key European industries. Technology platforms were established at the European level and are financially supported by European Commission. They associate industrial enterprises, universities, research institutions, authorities and consumers who are involved in research, development and innovation in strategically important technological areas. Czech Technology Platform on Industrial Safety is a member of European Technology Platform on Industrial Safety, was founded in 2007, has nowadays 48 members from private companies, universities, R&D institutions, government organizations, and others. And the targets are contribute to scientific research and development in industrial safety, support research results, advertise safety matters among public, organize and participate educational events, improve communication between relevant stakeholders, and support in financial funds acquisition from national and international sources. Our platform has 6 working groups: methods of assessment and risk reduction, education and training, safety risks in transport, advanced technologies for risk reduction, human and organizational factors, and research and application in nanosafety. We have now 2 major projects. One of them is Safe Era, Safety Era. This project is focused on the coordination of European research on industrial safety towards smart and sustainable growth, and the project is part of ERA network on industrial safety. There are 19 partners involved in the project, and our role of our platform is to develop joint strategies, identify national priorities and needs, and create synergy for common research. And last, but for me the most important project is Safety Agent, as I am the project manager of this project. So if you want to know more about the project, so let me know. This project, we cooperate very closely with the Faculty of Safety and Security Engineering in Ostrava, in the Technical University of Ostrava. And we are going to organize internships and practice for students in various types of institutions, research institutions, universities, or private companies. We are going to organize also internships for R&D and academic staff of the faculty, various conferences, seminars, and workshops focused on the sphere of safety and security. And we would like to also develop their soft skills. So, the conclusion, our vision of our platform is to concentrate the Czech safety and security research into Moravian and Silesian region. And to implement this vision, we need to create a strong membership base, we need to initiate and implement new joint projects, and of course we need networking, relations, and cooperation with foreign partners. So that's also we are here to gain new contacts and partners for our current or future projects. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Sarka. That was really a storm of very good ideas, initiatives. I'm sure there is a lot to learn from them. Mr. Van Nistelrooij, you told us this morning many things. Now that you've heard these new things? What are you going to tell us?
Maybe a couple of remarks.
Sure.
So that when we heard this morning that the two commissioners might not be in, I used my PowerPoint at the beginning, so sorry not having more now. Okay, so a couple of remarks. First, what bothers me is those number of projects that are here. All different names. I'm totally puzzled. Where will be the normal citizen in Europe? You know, somewhere then you see on the slides, European Commission. What's European Commission? Very important. But you know, why don't we start every project with EU, with the stars, and then the project behind? And if there's a country online, the country behind, of course. Because this is the failure. We have in Interreg, maybe hundreds of projects, and all different names. Don't think that the citizens combines it with Europe. Europe is us, and not a bureaucracy with different names. So this should be an important change. Jan Olbricht sitting on the first row, that we bring in, isn't it? Okay, a new amendment we should make. So, yeah, serious, because two weeks ago I was for 2 days making campaign for the Yes campaign in Ireland. And then I had a director of Lambert, that they make the big cranes, you know, for digging and all those cranes and machines. And they said, we are more loved all over the world than in Europe. We sell our quality products more all over the world than in Europe. What's wrong with Europe? Where is the pride? You know, and this is really, we fail in things that we should embrace and give it a name. Because this is the battle. The battle is the battle for talent. It's the battle for the best people at the best place. It's the battle for the networking and cooperation. Don't spoil it in, let me say, like the Germans say, you go around with subsidies, etc., and you do it with the Gießkanne. Who speaks German here? In Dutch it's the Gieter, but I don't know how it is in English. Okay, it's putting everywhere a little bit, and later on it's nothing left. So that's the first remark. Second remark on the questions is, in fact, 3 questions. First, can the European policies be tailor-made on regional initiatives? Yes, they can. And don't start immediately to say we have only 2 smart specialization themes in my region. This is not necessary. Last week I had a meeting in the northern part of the Netherlands, and some universities came to me and said, Lambert, in fact we have 5 subjects, but we heard from the government that only 2 or 3 are allowed. Wow, who takes who in prison? You can be, as I said this morning, with number 5 you can be, maybe, they had sensors technology. You know how important it is. I don't understand everything, but it's very important. But maybe they are number 30 in the list of European top institutes, etc., etc. And they have to get into the network on basis of smart specialization. Don't get just the final outcome of smart specialization where you are the number 1 in the country. You know, this is not a thing. Aligning new activities. And that's why what I heard about ICT. ICT is a horizontal. It's an enabling technology that we need everywhere. You know, the expectation is that 40% of our jobs are ICT related. It should be everywhere from now. And the second thing is that what are we doing in Europe? Now we bring our Galileo system, the satellite system. We have now 3 of the satellites brought up from Guyana, French Guyana. Why do we do this? We do this to have our knowledge developed in this kind of sectors. We are top in that, so that in 20 years we still are there. But no more important is that the GPS that we have now in your cars and everywhere, it's a Pentagon-driven system. We don't accept it. We want to have a public system, and not if there is a war somewhere or a threatening that is taken out. And beyond that, with it more precise development in the air in 2015, we will be able in Europe to develop a lot of unknown technologies using this very precise steering of a lot of things. If you don't get in this, let me say, room in this new era, you will never get in it, because the Chinese do it, because the Koreans do it, or the United States already. So sometimes we have to do it together to get in it. And then smart specialization, maybe you don't know what it is, but be open and don't, let me say, crumble it down because it does not fit to your national state choice that they have made. So it should be bottom up, and then it will fit. Second question, how do regions see the challenge? We heard it before. I think they want to have flexibility, and Jan Olbricht will talk later this afternoon about this, how Parliament thinks about that. So also a flexible approach in the methods. Smart specialization in practice. Let me say this, that as I told this morning, for my country, there is still the sectoral approach in which the industries are nominated. Every country has its own strategy, but in the Netherlands, 9 industrial clusters are, industrial themes are set, and then the regions come up, and it does not always fit. Is it, for instance, in my country, there are 2 regions who are competing to have the biotechnology, the bio-based economy approach as their smart specialization. And what is that? Say, okay, the Dutch, just a small country, can they have one? Ridiculous questions. Make it in a broader way, make it that it can develop, that you can online together with the EU instruments. And then the last thing, I heard that of the speech of Alice Gnamus, who told about smart specialization technology. He said, techniques. He said, things went wrong because of the lack of the international perspective. And that's totally true. Because what happened till now in the cooperation is the fact that you visit and you exchange and then you go home and get a report. And applause, maybe, or not. What we do now is quite different. We want to have long-lasting relations and partnership. We want, from the Parliament now, to make a stronger commitment from regional policy, bringing this 1 till 10%, one obliged, but till 10% to make it happen in programs, and also to make this as a precondition for these kind of activities. And I'm so sad, I'm very sad, also not only happy, I'm so sad that the territorial dimension has been thrown out of the horizon. This is a failure. If 2 partners love each other and they want to start something, it should come from 2 sides. And what I see now is a little bit lacking, that the regions of knowledge and the research potential programs are thrown out. Because there is a lot of money downstairs in the structural funds. But maybe there is a solution later. I think excellence-driven activities still have a territorial dimension. Read the Lisbon Treaty. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Van Nistelrooij. I keep the motto of let us battle for talent and be open.